Peace, peace. Um, this should be the last part. We're gonna close out and on this treaty, and it should be the last. I might have one more video. I had another video I mistakenly erased. They already cover a lot of this, but let's start on the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States and the Empire of Morocco. It's from the book Economics by Prince Uriel Bay. He's going to do some explaining of this treaty. So we're going to pay attention to this explanation so that we might also expand our comprehension of the treaty and the articles. We ain't going to go through all the articles. You can get this book no more than $30, I believe, on Amazon. Explain articles and what it means to you, how to use it, and the likes. Okay. So that we might expand our comprehension of the treaty and its articles, we must first gain linguistic clarity from the text and the word American. Now, according to the same translator, Dr. C. Snook Grunji of Leiden, we see in the second paragraph, praise be to Allah. This is the written document of the Article of Peace, which we have established with the Americans. Okay, so we're going to start right there. We can already see that it's a treaty between the Sultan of Morocco and the Americans, whoever that may be. I know people get that mixed up and always want to ask these questions like, why Moors the treaty with the so-called white people? We gotta understand it's a different United States at this time, a different America. This before George. The good doctor points out that the word for Americans in the text is Maricanos. So the word in the treaty for America is Maricanos, which is a Latinized Italian, Spanish, Arabisque, which the reason why it's a mixed language like this, similar to English. You can see English got all these different forms. Pretty much, you can call English this too, but this is an earlier version of it. Maricanos. And it's a form of Moroccan. So the good doctor using the word American, but instead it should have been Moroccan in that place. Thus confirming our earlier findings. The Italian is Il Morocco, the Spanish is Marroque, or the Arabic forms Al Maricanos and Amriki. Now, if you go search on the translator for Maricanos, it's not going to pull anything up on the internet. Why? Because that form of language is no longer used by us. Or these Moors at the time who doing the treaties with the Americans, the Sultan. In order that they may remain permanent, if Allah please. Again, this is according to their own European language experts. So please let us finally put this seemingly never-ending question of who is and who is not American, particularly concerning the legal language of this treaty. So basically, according to this treaty, the Americans are Maricanos, which is Moroccans. When we go back, we see Noble Drawley say we're the descendants of the ancient Moroccans, born in America. Being that we born in a time where it's no longer called Morocco, it's called America. In order that they may remain permanent, we got to get past that. Next, we give providential attention to Articles 2, 3, 6, 7, 14, 16, 21, and 24. We can go through some. We can go through 3. As the above articles deal with various forms of immunity, Article 2 prescribes the law of national allegiance. If either of the parties shall be at war with any nation, the other party shall not take commissions from the enemy nor fight under their colors. For in keeping one's allegiance, he or she secures their immunity. So we go back into wherever you pledge your allegiance to. The United States got to respect that based off the treaty. If either of the parties shall be at war with any nation, wherever, and take a prize belonging to either of the parties, the subject shall be set at liberty, and the effects returned to the owners. And if any goods belonging to any nation with whom either of the parties should be at war shall be loaded on vessels belonging to the other party, they shall pass free and unmolested without any attempt being made to take or detain them. You see how that protects you in these days from these corporate illegal detainments. Now, if such free pass and unmolestation rules shall apply in case of war with other nations, you see, they say if either of the parties shall be at war, so we ain't even got a declared war against the Moorish nation in the United States. And they still violating these things, and that's where the reparations come in there. The years and years of violating these articles. Can't get around it. It's the law. Now, if such free passes unmolested shall apply in cases of war with other nations, having made prize of their effect or goods, then should not thus free passes and unmolestation take precedence in a time of peace with those goods and effects originated from either of the contracting parties, which is the United States and their citizens, and any more, or Christian nations. So you can see how the South has been mindful enough to cover just about everybody on the planet, one way or the other. Therefore, we pose the question, has there been an official declaration of war upon the Moors of America by the United States? Nope. And if so, where in any hall of government is it written? Furthermore, we contend that no such document exists. Why? For the lawful reasoning that the above treaty is still in force. So, the treaty is in force. So, the United States can't declare any wars on any Christian nation. And they got agreements in effect. And we're going to see why these agreements don't apply, how we apply, and everything like that. Okay, they talk about the United States. And in the treaty, when they use the word citizen of the United States, they're talking about the so-called black people today. Meaning that represented both Moors and Christians within the United States. They use the word cittadino, which is citizen in Spanish, which just merely means a member of something. And when you pledge your allegiance to something, you become a member of that, which is a citizen. So, we don't gotta think too much into that. You see, that is the American/Moroccan, as we see earlier. Spanish, Estados Americanos. In Italian, it's Morocco Stato, which is the United States. Or their effects to His Majesty, the cittadino, the citizen shall immediately be set at liberty and their effects restored and in like manner of any more not subject of these dominions. You see how the Sultan put that in there just in case they had any mistakes of is he's a more under the subject is he a more under the subject of the Sultan or not? Not even the question. It don't matter because he put in the document of any more not subject of these dominions. So that's for protection purposes, and that's why they don't need you to be more. Anything other than more will be all right for them to violate this treaty without violating it, because it only deals with Moors and Christians and citizens of the United States and the subjects of Morocco. Those are the parties, which is basically the citizens of Morocco is Americans, but the Sultan dealing with our international protections with this treaty. So, dealing with the ports that we're dealing with in the last few videos, we've been showing all the ports that have been utilized. If I erase that video. The commerce with the United States shall be on the same footing as the commerce with Spain. And as we talked about earlier with the most favored nation acts that the South had been given to some of the different nations. And mind you, a lot of these nations were getting most favored nations when even ran by you, but still being used today by the world. All peoples. Their citizens should be respected and esteemed and have liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports. So the Sultan keeping everything in intact with these United States citizens, which is the Moorish Americans. And the naturalized citizens that they naturalized. We'll get into that too. We're going to show who it doesn't include. Okay. You can get this book and read some more. You got some more examples for how to use it, how to read these articles. This is the naturalization, the first Naturalization Act in 1790, and this is included as United States citizens, and this is included within that framework through naturalization. Free white person referred to in the Naturalization Act as amended by Act July 14, 1870 has meaning naturally given to it when first using Stat 1 Stat 103 Section 3, meaning all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white, and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. So what they're saying here is people who got a nationality, and they're using free white person, using the definition as white as in purity and blood, using the old blood laws of Rome and Spain and all those other things. Go look those up. And had the ability to own lands and do trade and commerce. So let's continue. It includes all European Jews, and we dealt with who that is in the last video. more or less intermixed with people of Celtic, deal with that. Scandinavia. I don't think we deal with that, but we'll deal with that in the future. Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. We could deal with some of those later. It includes the Magyars, the Lapps, the Finns, the Basques, and the Albanians. Includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. The mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, let's see, connections, and North African inhabitants. And that's why the United States later create in their census definition of white, they include North Africa. And the North African inhabitants of Sicily and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. It does not it does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, because dealing with race is a scientific construct every time you deal with races. Instead of nationalities, where people actually pledge their allegiance to something and have a flag and operating under that, the family of nations and the law of nations. Outside of that, we got races. So they cutting out, making sure dying being understood as people who claim these type of races. So you got Semitic and Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia, and the Indo-European Dravidians, and all these other so-called peoples who ain't under no flag, pretty much. You got to be accounted for under the laws of the nation. In order for the Constitution to naturalize you, unless you one of the parties of the treaty that we just read, they automatically got their citizenship status, and these the rest. So a lot of people who need to get their stuff straight today gotta go back to this, unless they're dealing with war powers, and we're gonna deal with that next. And federalized citizens. And they cut out the Syrians because of all wars and all invasions by people calling themselves Syrians. That been going on throughout the time. So as you can see, we can see why Judge Taney couldn't find nothing for Negroes in order to be in law, natural citizens in law under the United States. Couldn't find no provision. Then we get to 1870, post-Civil War and Reconstruction of the government. And the United States Federal made into law through an act. They created this to make so-called African Americans or descendants of Africans legalized. So under this today, and a few more civil rights acts and stuff like that, they doing this to make you legal, to legalize you as much as possible. And then some of the big banks, and you pay attention to the Republic of Florence, Frankfurt, Germany, Hamburg, Germany, Italy, okay, Sweden, Germany, Belgium, the UK, we got Pittsburgh, we got Pennsylvania, we got New York, got the UK, New York, Rockefeller, Cleveland, JP Morgan, because it's all connected, right? Okay. Hamburg, the citizens of the United States of America and the imperial city of Hamburg. England, His Britannic Majesty. Spain, His Catholic Majesty. Portugal, their most faithful majesties. Naples, Italy, His Majesty the King of the Two Sicilies. Sardinia, the Pope, the United States of America, and the dominions of His Holiness the Pope. Venice. See, everybody gotta get back in order on this. One of these are the only legal relations. Venice, which is Italy. Genoa, Tuscany, the Porte, the Sublime Porte, I don't even know what that is. But Morocco, you see, that's where you under. The high, glorious, mighty, and most noble prince, king, and emperor of the kingdom affairs on both sides. Morocco, Tafilete on both sides, Sus and Susa. Tafilete and Tenerife. Morocco and Marruecos and Fez and La Paz. We're dealing with both sides. The whole Algasbe and the territories thereof, a treaty of amity or of amity and commerce, and that's the one we read earlier. Read a little bit of that. The citizens of the United States and the subject of the day and the governors of Algiers, a treaty of amity or of amity and commerce. We got Tripoli and all these regions within the United States, the 50 states too. As Moors, we gotta remember that. The citizen of the United States of America in the city and kingdom of Tripoli, which just means the three cities. The most illustrious Lord governors of the city and kingdom of Tripoli. Tunis, the citizen of the United States of America and the people in the state and kingdom of Tunis. And the regencies, the pashas, and everything that go with it. But that's how you legally free yourself and run your own thing through these entities. Like Noah Crowley told us, we set up those kingdoms, particularly in 1784. You see right here, instructions relative to the navigation of the Mississippi. You see how they have to deal with ports and navigations and stuff like that. 1784. And the ministers, plenipotentiaries, plenipotentiaries. Basically, that means they work for somebody, right? The real United States at this time. And here's Massachusetts trying their best to follow the law. Notice to blacks, the office of police having made a return to the subscriber of the names of the following persons who are Africans or Negroes, not subject of the Emperor of Morocco, nor citizens of the United States. You see? They have to been one of the two. They have to been one of the Moors of the Estados Americanos, aka citizens of the United States, or Moors, subject or not subject to the dominions of the Sultan. So Massachusetts playing games with people and telling these people they Moors, gonna enforce these things on these people, claiming African and black or Negro, which apply even to this day. The same are hereby warned and directed to depart out of this commonwealth. They couldn't depart you out the commonwealth as a Moor, because law dictate. Before the 10th day of October next, as they would avoid the pains and penalties of the law. Sorry for the car go by. A lot of improprieties went on after the treaty been done by George and some other senators, as they are supposed to announce it to all captured Moors on plantations. But as we know, 50 years later after the signing, got re-signed once, and about 30 years later after that, or 20, the Civil War popped off, and the Emancipation Proclamation. So I'll give you some of the names of the so-called blacks who getting kicked out. Commonwealth, and they probably been like teachers and doctors and stuff like that in order to displace you. You can get how some of the improprieties and all the stuff going down, kidnapping and stuff like that, and basically a coup d'etat of Almighty Estados. Practically what it was, Reconstruction and disenfranchisement. And we got Spain, Britain, and France in war. Early United States. Okay. We see Mandinga in Panama, right? About to get a little bit into again who's these people. Do the treaty apply to them? Here's Panama. Look at that, mulattoes. Portobello. I think that's Gamboa, right? A lot of wars happen right here. It's been split up of Mauritania and Panama in the early times. We'll get into a little story, I think, talking about that. Congo also in this area. Not today, but you find old maps, kinda. This area is interesting. We're gonna get into why. In South America, we're dealing with wars between the Moors, Arabs, and the Moors. Going on for hundreds of years in South America. And all this is the reason why we got peace treaties. Stuff like this, wars. Okay, right here. It is this that today we distinguish the indigenous people of Darien, and that's what Panama is. Daria. On some maps. The two names, the Mandingas and Tule. In the video, in the earlier video, I show all the different people they had as fugitives and stuff like that. And a lot of them had the last name Mandinga, and I think Tule, and I think a couple of them. I think all of them centered in old Panama. And these been so-called Maroons are treated us from the not the Canaries, the Haiti and the Caribbeans. So we see Panama close to the Caribbean, so it'll make much more sense that they would have been capturing them from here and taking them to 1 day away, 2 day away to the Caribbean. And that's where we get those names. We had De Madingas and De Congo. Showing that they stupid Americans. In 1513, when Vasco Nunez de Balbo, the Spanish explorer, reached Panama, he and his party discerned the presence of African people. One of the recorders of the travels, Balboa Gomorrah, wrote, when Balboa entered the province of Quarrica, he found no gold but some black slaves belonging to the king of the place. Having asked the king where he obtained the slaves, he, Balboa, received as an answer that people of that color lived quite near, you see, to there, and that they were constantly at war with them. See? You're dealing with the holy wars and captives from that war. Always remember that. And you go by the popular history that you get captured from the coast of West Africa. You'll be sitting here for the next 500 years looking for that mom, the reparations. But if you bring out, what they call it, when Hitler them, they put against Hitler and them, war crimes, then you have a case. See, these blacks were entirely like the blacks of Guinea. They've been on both sides for centuries. Another recorder of Balboa, Peter Martyr, left an account that adds to our knowledge of the discovery. He states, we found there in Quarrico black slaves having come from a region a distance of only 2 days, you see, march, and which produced people of that color fierce and all above all cruel. So we always know that it just ain't never make no sense for them to take all these people from Africa and sail 30, what they say, at least 40 days. That's being generous. Back and forth across the Atlantic with all these people where you gotta have all these food and water with you and all this 2 months worth of stuff, right? So, but you ain't need none of that if you're going from Panama to Haiti. Much easier, right? But if that's the case, then they really owe you. Where you at? Just keep in mind that it's not the transatlantic slave trade that you bringing up as your case. You bringing up the war brought against you in your kingdoms, your principalities, and your dominions. So now they owe you in fundings, wherever that may be, and they also owe you in. First, they gotta make right with the law, get you right under the law, and they gotta allow you your estate, the usage, the first class usage, the first dips and dibs in anything on this estate, your land back. That's if this is the case. It captain brought news of black people located east of the Gulf of San Miguel. Aiku Habia Ali Kerka Gente Negra. The report of Martyr and Colmenares, although being biased in their judgment of the purpose of the African exploratory voyages, are amazingly clear in their tracing of the African presence. This type of obvious reporting at such an early date in European colonial history cannot be attributed to shipwrecked slaves from the European colonies were not established at this time. Carlos Marquez correlating archaeological finds with traditional native history wrote. Some tribes of Darien say they were the first time their ancestors arrived in that region. It was occupied by small black men, pygmies, who later retired to the forest, and the Payas and the Tapalisas, or the Kunakunas, having their origin date back to one man and two women, one Indian and the other black, who lived at the shore of Tartar Kuna, Tartar. From Panama, the Mandinka explorer traveled north to Honduras. Ferdinand Columbus, the son of Christopher Columbus, recorded the presence of black people seen by his father in northern Honduras. And before we go on, I want to say, Panama, that area, that's the land of the Olmecs. And we know we got the many scholars with the theory that those were Mandinkas based off the helmet. So now you got other evidence that they were much later. But the people who live farther east, that's what he wrote, of Point Convenas, as far as Cape Gracias a Dios, that's the thank God, Cape thank God, or Thanksgiving, are almost black in color. They pierce holes in their ears large enough to insert hen eggs. So we got some of the same cultures. Piercing the ears, hanging heavily earring, and is an ancient West Africa, especially Manding, custom among women. Mali was one, of course, of the richest gold-producing areas in the world. To the southwest, near the Nicaraguan border of Tegucigalpa, another group of blacks were reported, possibly by Columbus. And just because a lot of the people here is the remnants of these people, we can't even imagine how many people we've been based off all of the wars, the holy wars that have been going on for, we don't even know how long. But those treaties been to ensure our survival to this day. And it work because you watching this video and they making this video, right? For the most part, it work. To the southwest, near the Nicaraguan border, we already been at, they were known as Jaras and Guaba. These names appear to be same Jara in Gambia. So remember, we had Gamboa in this area. I don't think this author even recognized that. Diara in Senegal and Mali, which represent a very ancient clan and territorial designation among the Mandinka, Saracoles. And we got these infinities based off the ancient, they call Myanmar, Marmimolians, something like that. But they had that crown because they ruled both sides of the Atlantic. Certain kings had that crown at one point. These names appear to be same Jara in Gambia, Diara in Senegal, Mali, which represent a very ancient clan. Did that. Kangaba One of the ancient capitals of Mali kings has frequently been shortened to Kaba. Furthermore, Niana, another famous Malian capital, sometimes called Mali, after the empire, contained a district within its wall called Niani Kaba. The use of those names are another part of the legacy left by the early explorers. Both Kaba and Niara are still in use in West Africa and Central America today. Some of the Muslim African Salvadorans called themselves Almamis prior to coming out of the Spanish to Central America. They were probably related to the African seen by Ferdinand Columbus or the Yaras of Guapas. And when he said the Africans, we gotta keep in mind that we're dealing with a mix, we're dealing with both sides of the Atlantic. They ain't from one side and not the other. Put it like that. Because that's the denationalization and the displacement. When you say these Africans in Central America, no, they're Central Americans, they're Americans in Central America. If you're looking at it in the modern political aspect, they are Americans. If we're looking at it in the ancient aspects, yeah, we can say Africa, because Africa is any place baptized that was Mauritania. It's from the book, same book as Long in America Before Christ. Les Berbères de Amérique, the Berbers of America, while making an ethnographic comparison between Africa and America, stated a tribe of Almamis inhabited Honduras, Central America, having preceded by a little the arrival of Columbus there. He also added that the title Almami does not antedate the 12th century of the Christian era, which is the earliest date the Black African Muslims would have been conveyed to the American Isthmus. In the Manding language, Al-Mi was the destination of Al-Amamu, from the Arabic Al-Imam, the leader of the prayer, or in some cases, the chief of the community. Other evidence of early pre-Columbian presence in the Americas are found in the writings of Manuel Orozco y Vera, Historia Antigua y de la Conquista de Mexico, who traces the early colonies of black people living in Central America and the southern parts of America. You know, so-called black people. Father Francisco Garces in 1775 ran across a race of so-called black people living beside the Zuni Indians in New Mexico in 1775. So that's way after Mustafa Azamor meeting the Zuni. A de Quadrifages, an introduction a l'étude des races humaines, noted that the Indians and blacks spoke different languages, and according to Indians, they were the earliest inhabitants of the lands. So when they say Indians, they're probably talking about the so-called Tartaros. Alexander von Wittenau, professor of art and history at Mexico City College, from 1939 to 1965 were instrumental in the collection and display of a series of terracotta figures, mass pottery, and other items which represent the many people who had visited the Americas before Columbus was already here. This collection of actual material for the period of Mandinka explorers give us a graphic look at the faces of the people themselves. 79 clear African features, facial scarification, and Islamic turban. Time and the search for truth are slowly bringing these faces back to life. And you can get the book and get some more. It's free online. I got a few more. The early Mandinka explorers who traveled to Mansa with the Mansa of the Empire of Mali or the subsequent voyages were without a doubt carrying a large amount of gold with them. On the first pilgrimage of Mansa Musa previously mentioned, the Malian Muslims were carrying so much gold with them that they seriously affected the economy of every land they passed through. The gold trade with the Americas is established through gold analysis, linguistic findings, and eyewitness reports. I don't forget we're dealing with the gold trade in Americas, but what this author don't have in his research is the ancient gold mines of South America and Mexico and stuff like that too, that have been plundered by the Spanish and stuff. In the description of Columbus previously mentioned, it was recorded that the Indians called gold guanin. The gold was found in be of 32 parts, 18 were of gold, 6 of silver, and 8 of copper. And you got this on both sides. This was a common West African gold alloy which had identical proportions of silver and copper and dated to at least the 13th century. William Bozeman, who spent 14 years in West Africa before 1705, noted that the gold was frequently mixed with a third part and sometimes with half silver and copper. He found that this artificial gold was found all along the Guinea coast. Columbus was well aware of the West African gold, for not only did it have a certain alloy, but it even carried a peculiar odor. Linguistic research have uncovered a number of words having an Arabic and West African root and being found in native language of the Caribbean and North America. We got gold, Antillean, Mandinka. We got gold, Ghana, Ghani, in different forms in America. And we got our own Guyana and called French Guinea today. The cotton trade is similar. Got a lot of the cotton trade between the two coasts. And Brazil is a huge source of cotton and rice and stuff too. The southeast of the United States as well too. Okay, let me see. And these just some more connections. this right here. Um, you can see some of these Moors in the southeast area who um, use the French term Gouale, and they use the Ogiki River, and today we call that Galagichi. Gouale Ogiki. We got Paria, which would be ancient Paris. And we got Gouale down there too, which would be Gaul. In these ancient places, you gotta understand, Moors frequented all these places for centuries. You can get this book. They did a good job putting together the connections and the reason why the treaty done between the Empire of Morocco on this continent and why that's important. Everything is between Christian and Moors, no matter what continent you're on. Can't get around it. All these videos on YouTube, people dissing so-called Moors and claim they dissing Moors or whatever. At the end of the day, the Christian powers love that, because that's the enemy. Enemies of the faith. Get some of these. We dealt with this earlier. The United States recognizing people called Moorish Americans. So when you see them with the news stories saying Moorish sovereign citizens, they know they ain't talking about nobody. They just hope you don't know that. The ambiguity in law and language. They recognize real people. Recognition ain't needed, but it's good even in the modern aspect of the United States. Gotta deal with the law. This becomes law within that jurisdiction. Can't say to people don't exist because you can't make a proclamation, you can't stamp a proclamation for invisible people, right? You look crazy. Okay. See, all pharaohs of Kemet, and they leave it ambiguous because they still can foot their story, right? You came from Africa and all this. They like to use that and say the African slaves helped build this country and all those. They mixing truth and falsehoods. But ain't no problem leaving this ambiguous for us now, right? Because we know how to read it. It was recorded that Spain and the territories that make up what is now called Spain had to delete the original discovery of America by Spain, and a new discovery entered, who was the original individual that discovered the Americas prior to Queen Isabella the First. Keep in mind, recorded facts cannot be disputed. That's law. Spain or Spanish people did not drive the Moors out of their alleged country, as stated by Anwar G. Chenji in his book The Arabic Language, Its Role in History, page 81, as he put it after the fall of Granada, quote unquote, in 1492. It was territory purchased between the royal families, two royal families, Caliph Abdullah Zagal and Queen Isabella I, for 17 million in the year 1491. A legal procedure no different than the Treaty of Louisiana and Florida, which were land purchases only. So people will take, and Napoleon is the same thing. They're not Napoleon. What happened? Morrow, one of the presidents, when they bought a square, which was probably just a block in Louisiana, and they claim that they bought the whole Central America. So that's basically what happened in this situation. So the history always repeats itself. Those pueblos and rancheros were territories by treaty, and no linguistic can translate them. What language were they written in? Of the so-called royalty language of Spain is Castilian, which is made up of over 6,000 Arabic words, and the rest from Latin. Who are the Spaniards, and where did they descend from? And we get into that earlier with divine heritage. Hereditary rights, and divine rights. And that's what Spain used. Why, when pueblos of New Mexico having treaties in an unknown language that they cannot translate, when my name was thrown in as one who can help in the translation, overnight it was made a closed issue, or reference no longer open for review. So when they were trying to get Meredith Quinn, Dakota Indian, to translate these treaties, they closed shop. And it's the colonial demarcation line between Castile, Spain, and Portugal in the 15th, 16th centuries. We got the line of Pope Alexander, the Treaty of Tordesillas, and the Treaty of Saragossa. And see how they spread out the world with these treaties. So they bring war to you. Most Arabs, the Moors, everybody fighting for the control of the world trade. And this is a copy of Judge Curtis, the original copy of Judge Curtis' opinion on what happened in the Dred Scott case. And in it, we find how they changed things in this part where they put Negroes. And they've been saying, basically he's been saying how the so-called blacks, the people who we call blacks, is one of the people who established this government from the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. You got North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. That means you had the most powers in those states at that time, the Constitution. But they put Negroes because they reconstruct history. And that's one example. We can assume that they did this to every example. So you see where you got Negroes. Find an older copy. Got Moors. The original copy had Moors. So we know Judge Curtis said Moors and Lincoln, because they both made an opinion. But if you find it online today, you'll find the opinions, but they're going to have blacks or Negroes. Because Judge Taney said ain't no Negro a part of this government. So it wouldn't make no sense for Judge Curtis to also use the word Negro, because he'll just be taking them back out the constitutional fold of government. So it wouldn't even make no sense for him to make this opinion legally. So they make Judge Curtis' opinion illegal by adding Negroes instead of Moors, where he put Moors in his opinion. It's just the same document, right? Got the United States right under that. See, same document. More no, or no part, no part. Okay. And another thing, the news courier is wrong. That is insane. That free people of color, free persons of color, which they were not wrong because free persons of color don't have any status, had no political privileges. The Reef brothers, Richard and Joseph, born respectively in 1798 and 1802, voted on reaching their majority, you see, and even after. So throughout the time, Moors always been voting outside of the Negro Acts that have been created to bring them back into the fold of government. Some others may have enjoyed the same privileges, but there are colored men in Charleston today, which is 1907. And some now living elsewhere who claim to the right to vote on the grandfather clause. We'll get into that later. Those were never enfranchised by an amendment to the These were never enfranchised by an amendment to the Constitution of the United States. So it's from a former Charlestonian in New York writing the article that he did his research and found out that even so-called free persons of color voting in the United States in the early 1800s, early beginning of the United States, which coincide with this Judge Curtis's thing and why I know what really brings back into this fold. An interesting article is the same article from this. On this subject may be found in the January issue of the Southern Workman. Some of those who owned slaves in the years before the war by name DeReefs, McKinleys, Westons, Holloways, Thorns, and Howards, and all these so-called black people. These are descendants of some of those people in New York and Brooklyn today, and these people in South Carolina, Charleston. There is information enough at hand on this subject to fill a book, but let me relate you one history which may prove interesting. And I don't think got that part in it, no. But what he gonna talk about is how they've been, how they lose everything. They've been wealthy people until after the Civil War, when they supposedly been emancipated. And a lot of them been worse off after that. You know, they only lose the property, the slaves' property, they lose all property that they owned. And the state owned them everything today. They became blacks and Negroes. But this goes to show, even this person who wrote this article in 1907 been shocked after this research, because news always are supposed to have been the slaves getting beat up and all this, but it was war. It wasn't really just some people messing with you. It was basically that, but like the prisoners of war is the legal. It's more legal than saying a slave. I'm suffering from this in the last video. Yeah, this one's up that post that makes sense of it, I forget, but let's continue. The grandfather clause is a provision by which an old rule continues to apply to some existing situation while a new rule will apply to all future cases. Those exempted from the new rule are said to have grandfather rights or acquired rights to have been grandfathered in. So that's what Lord Raleigh talking about when he say the 14 and 15 Amendment is not needed for the salvation of other people, because it had already decreed that all men were created equal. So you've been grandfathered in of the 1780 United States, the beginning. The treaty in the United States Constitution, you already had your rights from that. Anything made after that, War Power Acts, Civil War, what you call them, naturalization acts, and you ain't have to be naturalized then. You already been citizens based off the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the Constitution. 14 and 15th Amendment brought the North and the South in unit, placing the Southern, this from Lord Raleigh, placing the Southern, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. At that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774. Enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since the constitution had never been changed, there is no need for the application of 14 and 15 amendments to the salvation of our people and citizens, because you already grandfathered in this government. You ain't never lose nothing. Ain't nothing been agreed since the Free National Constitution of 1774. Right? At the establishment. So even dealing with law. And it's the Judge Curtis. They talking about the case of Judge Taney. And Curtis argued that blacks were in every sense part of the people of the United States. But this document right here, wherever they're reading this from, either got the word Negro when they translate into English black, or you had the word Moors in that story. And they decided to deal with improprieties, because they don't need you to be there. They don't want you to be there because they give you supreme citizenship through treaty. And Judge Curtis has been right. And that's something we gotta do some research on too. The early beginnings of the United States. Some investigations. Yeah, that's a wrap up the series. I made through I go through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Of the nice little 10-minute video. Let's go in between. Go through each article. See what the words meaning of the words.